perfect Spider-Man suit. But wait, how did we get here?
We ready?
Wait a sec. Ready? For what? After looking through a long history of live-action Spider-Man suits, from Tobey's wetsuit all the way up to the more modern takes on the design, I managed to nail down the three things that make this suit so fantastic. Eventually understanding why it took Marvel more than 20 years to create this masterpiece. And believe it or not, it's not just about the design. To begin, we have to go all the way back to Spider-Man's first appearance. No, it's actually a lot further.
Perfect. Picture this.
It's May 31st, 2002, and Spider-Man just hit the big screen. And to the surprise of no one, he's wearing a comic-accurate suit with its characteristic traits being pointy lenses, a bright red collar, and raised webbing.
We'll get to that later.
Costing up to $50,000 per unit, the Remy suit not only became an iconic and highly priced suit for its design and overall accuracy to the comics, but it was also looked upon highly by the fans even till this very day. Unlike with some other suits, Tobey Maguire wore the practical suit as much as he could throughout his movies because one of the things that make a good Spider-Man costume is that it needs to be real. Jumping to June 30th, 2004 with Spider-Man 2, the costume team made sure to fix problems with the colors, the webbing, and the spider logos to better fit the screen. And no, not with computers, with their own hands.
I am soaking wet right now.
Because although more expensive, the team knew that it was worth it to deliver a completely real costume instead of a fake one. Same story with the third movie, where we got one of the best and kind of the only live-action version of the symbiote suit. Guys in charge of designing the suit just went the easy and smarter route of slapping a black and white filter on top of it. The point is that the same Ramy suits teach us how it's not about how complicated you make them, but how close you follow the comics while leaving just the perfect amount of creativity to sweep in, creating a familiar yet iconic suit for the friendly neighborhood superhero.
Nice.
Since I'm 83% sure the new suit is not AI, we can check. The first requirement. The suit has to be real, but it also has to look good, which is why we're skipping ahead to May 1st, 2004. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 just hit the people are going nuts.
But why?
Was it because of how good the movie was? Not really. Was it the hype for seeing Andrew Garfield back? Well, it was for me, but no. The fans were actually going crazy for the suit, which led me to wonder what made this suit work so well. Reasons which, surprisingly enough, are also the reasons as to why this new suit works as well. First, let's look at two suits that suffer from the same problem. Putting function over form. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 presents a rather menacing-looking suit with darker colors, pointy and yellow-colored lenses, and sneaker-like
boots.
Most fans weren't quite fond about how far the suit was in terms of design to the classic versions of the Spider-Man attire. And one of the reasons that director Mark Webb gave for the change was that the suit had to make sense. Let me explain. Peter Parker is a very resourceful dude. And Webb wanted to show this by not only making his version of the character create his own suit, but make it believable that he could actually do it. I'll let the experts explain this one.
We had to believe that Peter Parker actually constructed the suit himself. So things like sunglasses, lenses, and shoes and elements like that.
Well, I was thinking, how would a kid make a suit? Well, he'd probably take tennis shoes and cut the bottoms of them and use that as the pads of the shoes. I mean, if he's making his own suit, who wouldn't do that? It seems a logical thing to do.
And this was the biggest problem of them all. Both the huge deviation from the classic look and feel, and the fact that the decisions about the design were based on what was logical and realistic threw most people off, which is why for the next installment, the team focused less on making something that made sense and more on making something that looked good. They went for the bigger white lenses, adapted Tobey's raised webbing, gave us some clean-looking web shooters, and turned the saturation up. The second suit that suffers from the exact same problem is this one. Remember function over form? Sure, it made sense for Tony, a tech guy, to gift Peter a more modern-looking suit with some high-tech vibes and capabilities. Marvel now making the whole thing CGI, just like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 learned from its predecessors. The brand new day suit learns from more than 20 years worth of Spider-Man costumes to deliver what is essentially a better L-looking offspring from Tobey and Andrew.
Suits.
And yes, it's as perfect as it sounds. But what does this have to do with the suit? Well, for the last thing that makes this the perfect Spider-Man suit, and the biggest reason why it took so long to make, is none other than the story behind it. Let me take you back to July 7th, 2017.
Too late. You guys are losers.
Viewers were shocked to see some unexpected changes to the story of the webhead. You see, this was no longer an origin story. There was no Uncle Ben, no Spider, and even a younger Aunt May. Although unexpected, all of these changes were received rather positively by the fans since it gave room for the other parts of the story.
But this also came
with its downsides. One of them being the lack of the suit montage, present in every other origin story of Spider-Man. The hero is seen creating its own suit from sketch to final piece. But in Tom's case, the thing was just given to him.
Oh my god.
Put it on.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Starting an unfortunate trend across the next two movies. Unlike Tobey and Andrew, who were practically on their own, Tom always had Tony to save his back, even in
death.
But thankfully, after a couple of Avengers movies and a movie trilogy, this suddenly changed. December 17, 2021, for everyone but Peter, the best day of their lives.
Peter.
Yeah?
Oh, sorry.
Did you mean
that? Peter.
we're all called Peter, Peter.
And believe it or not, this might just be the big reason why this suit looks the way it does today. Peter came from having an easy to losing everything he had, essentially restarting his
essentially
life and
restoring
teaching
his
him
life
a huge
and
lesson
teaching him
about
a huge lesson about responsibility.
A lesson every Spider-Man learns in his origin story. But what does this mean
for the suit?
The suit?
Well, that the last three movies
were not lacking an origin story.
They were the origin story. And with
story.
a brand new start
and
for
with
our
a brand new start for our hero,
it must
also
also
come a brand new suit and a brand new day.